Thank you for joining me for October Astrology 2023. I'm Colleen Pearl, your astrologer, and I will be guiding you on this astrological journey. This month stands in stark contrast to September. In September, we only had one planet changing signs, the Sun, moving into Libra. It was a significant movement, but nonetheless only one movement. This month, we have a lot of planets changing signs, as well as some exciting eclipses to talk about. The Solar Eclipse on the 14th and the Lunar Eclipse on the 28th. I'll be putting up a bonus video about the Solar Eclipse, and this month's full moon video will deal with the Lunar Eclipse. Be sure to watch them so you'll be prepared for what the eclipses bring. Also, since Mercury has been direct since September 15th, he is moving like the blazes, taking on 2 sign changes this month. Don't blink because you'll miss it. Venus and Mars are both changing signs as well, and last but not and never least, the Sun will move into Scorpio. So this will be a momentous month, and we'll see lots of activity here on terra firma as a result. Now let's talk about the planetary ingresses. On October 3rd, Lilith enters Virgo. On October 5th, Mercury enters Libra. On October 9th, Venus enters Virgo. On the 12th, Mars enters Scorpio. On the 22nd, Mercury enters Scorpio. And on the 23rd, the Sun enters Scorpio. On October 3rd, Lilith will enter the sign of Virgo. When Lilith enters the sign Virgo, we have an unusual mix of energies. On the one hand, Lilith wants to stand up for things and speak about all the unspeakable habits and impulses that we have. She wants us to embrace all our dark and squishy desires and let them be seen for a part of the beautiful prism that is us. On the other hand, it is all expressing in buttoned-up Virgo. Virgo, however, does not have to always be the old maid spinster stereotype we think she is. Virgo is the clear-eyed intuitive who listens to her inner ding and allows herself to flow with the natural energies of the seasons. She needs to serve others because it serves her higher self and allows her to teach about universal laws and concepts, something she probably feels very strongly about. So, Lilith in the sign of Virgo will stand up for herself and others who have been shamed into the shadows. She will reach out a hand to the person hiding in the corner because they're afraid of being publicly outed and made to feel bad about their inner self. She will promise comfort to ones who come into the light and must weep with relief to finally be seen and heard. She will wrap her arm around them and allow them to cry and cleanse themselves of the shame born from years of hiding. So, Black Moon Lilith, while not a planet, will serve humanity very well in the sign of Virgo. It'll release a little bit of the hypocrisy in the world and allow some souls to unburden themselves from a huge load of guilt or shame or feelings of rejection. Virgo Lilith will do these things not looking for thanks or recognition, but because it is the right thing to do. On October 5th, we have Mercury entering Libra. Now, Mercury hasn't been in Libra since last year around this time, and it's going to feel really good to have them in the sign of balance once more. Alas, we only have 16 days for Hermes to be in the sign of balance. Nevertheless, let's hope they are significant. It will be in Libra for the Libra eclipse, lending its mental energy. An eclipse in Libra will get you talking with others and thinking about fateful events in your life. And Mercury in Libra will emphasize this and bring about a sense of justice, beauty, equality, and harmony. No matter what happens to you during the 16 days of Mercury in Libra, you will feel good. Things will not affect you too severely, except to bring about feelings of well-being in an overall way. On October 9th, Venus will enter Virgo. Venus and Virgo. Here are 2 things that don't really go together very well. Although, if you're looking for a partner with a service heart and a desire to keep the house clean, then you found your perfect match. Not that they will be your de facto maid, but they will certainly do their best to keep the domestic environment looking inviting and, yes, clean. Venus in Virgo carries the badge of service to the extreme. They have a tendency to feel responsible for everything going on around them, and they try very hard to make sure no one goes without. For instance, if they have a nice lunch packed and you show up with only an apple, they will share their own meal with you and then go out foraging for more food for you because obviously their paltry offering would not be enough. Venus in Virgo thinks of themselves and their own needs in very practical terms, but as soon as they think of others, they think they must go above and beyond for some reason. This is a wonderful time to do projects or have social events with other people because the Venus in Virgo energy ensures that everyone will have enough to eat, enough to talk about, and the best laid rain plans ever. On October 12th, Mars enters Scorpio. Now here's where we are running into trouble. Mars in Scorpio wants to do the all over the place, and that usually means they're not worrying about messing things up. This does not go well with Venus and Virgo. However, Virgo and Scorpio do form a sextile, which is harmonious energy, so it could be worse. The two energies must figure out a rhythm, and then all that will be fine. On the 22nd, Mercury enters Scorpio. Ever heard the expression mind like a steel trap? Yes, that's Mercury in Scorpio. No matter their age, a Mercury in Scorpio mind is going to be intelligent, quick, and shrewd. They will not show you their cards or even their tools, thoughts, treasures, etc. until they trust you completely. They will show you just enough to take your measure, and then maybe, just maybe, they will show you a little bit more. When Mercury transits Scorpio, we all become a little more shrewd, secretive, wily, and dark. Don't waste it. Use this time to unravel some family secrets. On the 23rd, the Sun will enter Scorpio. Scorpio season. One of my favorite times of year. Since it follows my birthday time, I've always been fond of it. I married 2 men with their moon in Scorpio. It's a very sexy sign, and, well, a girl just couldn't resist. When the Sun is in Scorpio, you will find that you're thinking more about dark things. Not necessarily gothic or taboo things, but dark, as in this is the darker time of the year. Clothes may be darker in hue. People have moved indoors and are not doing as much outside because of the lack of light. Also, we store things in the dark at this time of year. The traditional root cellar keeps all those delicious veggies in the dark to prolong their life. So yes, Scorpio for me is equated to darkness, and I love it. I simply love it. All right, now let's talk about the retrograde planets. So we have a whole slew of planets that are retrograde all month. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, the North Node, and Chiron. Now, the North Node is not a planet, as I have said numerous times. The North Node is a point on the Moon's orbital path around the Earth that coincides with the Earth's orbital path around the Sun. And when they coincide with the new moon or the full moon, we have an eclipse. Now, Chiron is known as a dwarf planet or an asteroid. And Chiron does its orbit around in a elliptical or figure 8 pattern between Saturn and Uranus. So it is a planet, it's a dwarf planet, it's an asteroid, but it doesn't orbit around the sun per se, it orbits around 2 larger planets, Saturn and Uranus, who also orbit the sun. Okay, now on October 11th, Pluto will station direct at 27 degrees Capricorn 53. So although Pluto moves slowly anyway, it's moving even slower in the retrograde because it's been around this 27 degrees and change for the whole retrograde, really. I don't think it changed degree at all. And once it starts moving forward again, it will pick up speed, but initially it won't move very quickly. So it's going to be at this 27 degree mark, 28 degrees or so for a while. Now, as this diminutive planet turns direct, we will all begin to feel more confident about the future. The Saturnine downer energy of Capricorn will begin to lift, and we can start looking forward to our goals, our life changes, and decisions that will move us into the future. We will all feel more acceptance and ease. I hope that this will calm down those who are clinging fiercely to the ideas of the Stepford-like 1950s utopia of the aging and dwindling white male population and those who support them. I hope that they will also feel more confident and realize that they do not lose anything when they acknowledge people of color who likewise have many profound achievements under their belts and also deserve respect. I hope that Pluto moving forward will help that aging generation see themselves in the future, or at least see their children and grandchildren there, enjoying this planet and the many gifts she offers. I hope that they will cease resisting the changes that must be accepted if we are to survive as a nation, a burgeoning population who don't look like them or think like them, but who love this country and wish to carry her into the future by saving her environment, economy, and democracy. Pluto isn't the only planet in play, but his movements certainly dictate how each generation defines itself and shapes our country, at least for a time. All right, now let's move on to the weekly planetary action, and I will discuss it week by week for your astrological pleasure. All right, week 1, October 1st, somebody's birthday, through October 8th. So on October 2nd, we have Mercury opposing Neptune. Mercury will be at 24 degrees Virgo, 48, and Neptune will be at 25 degrees Pisces, 55 minutes retrograde. This is a day, Mercury's zipping about quickly now, so this will only last for the day before, the day of, and the day after. Eccentric viewpoints will characterize this energy, where many will not hesitate to exaggerate or even downright lie to cover their tracks. Now, this happens to be the first day of the second defamation case for E. Jean Carroll against DJT. So expect some ridiculous public pronouncements from the orange one. On October 3rd, Mercury will trine Pluto, Mercury being at 26 degrees Virgo exactly, and Pluto being at 27 degrees Capricorn, 54 minutes retrograde. Strong opinions will abound on this day as people choose up sides in their public debates. We may hear lots of pronouncements on the news today from pundits, politicians, and news people, letting us know what to expect. Their predictions will not likely turn out to be true, but on this day, they will stand by their word. They just need very badly to express themselves once the moment has passed. And it will pass pretty quickly, one news cycle, I'd say. They probably won't even acknowledge that they said these things. However, it will provide some very entertaining headlines. On October 8th, we have Mars squaring Pluto for about 3 days. Mars will be at 27 degrees Libra, 11 minutes. Pluto will be at 27 Capricorn, 53 retrograde. Protesters will loudly proclaim their viewpoints and stand by them stubbornly, determined to convince each other of their veracity. Feelings may get hurt, and perhaps that is the point. All right, let's move on to the week 2, which is October 9th through the 15th. And on the 10th, we have Venus opposing Saturn for about 2 days. Venus will be at 1 degree Virgo, 2 minutes, and Saturn will be at 1 degrees Pisces, 2 minutes retrograde. So when Saturn steps on Venus, it brings about fear. Venus is not strong in the sign of Virgo, but Saturn can be surprisingly strong in Pisces, where Venus would usually be exalted. So we have elements of fear, yet understanding of a deeper meaning to our actions. This causes fear. People feel they must stand up for the underdog, but they fear the repercussions and the possible loss of property or life. They're afraid. The law, which is Saturn, feels bigger than the universe, which is Pisces, and our desires, which is Venus, which is nuts because obviously the universe is bigger than the law, but we are dealing with our feelings here, so logic has nothing to do with it. Try to hold the line during these 2 days, and when the heat is off, look at the situation again so you can make a logical decision. Then on October 12th, we have Mars trining Saturn for about 3 days. Mars is at 29 degrees Libra, 53. Saturn's at 0 degrees Pisces, 58 retrograde. So you're waiting out that Venus opposition Saturn, right? Good, because this aspect, the Mars trine Saturn, will give you more strength and conviction in order to move forward. You will be tireless and much more enthusiastic about your decision than you were a few days ago. While you don't want to take any risks, you will feel that you can deal with challenges and obstacles. Okay. Now we come to October 14th when we have the new moon solar eclipse, the first of our two eclipses, at 21 degrees Libra 7 at 5:54 p.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. Now, this is a south node solar eclipse, so get ready for big endings. Let's look at the chart. So the south node is here with the sun and the moon, and you don't see a symbol for it because in most astrological charts, they just put in the glyph or symbol for the north node, which is this one, which sort of, if you can see it big enough, it looks like a little set of headphones. And what we assume as astrologers is that it is the south node is exactly 180 degrees away from it across the circle. So the south node is over here. And as you can see, that would be conjunct the moon and the sun. But something else I notice here is Eris is also conjunct the node, making it in opposition to the sun and the moon. So that is going to make things even more prickly and more aggressive in this new moon solar eclipse. So watch out. So wherever you have Aries or Libra at 21 degrees, this is where you'll find your ending. And I do think for this eclipse, it's not all cardinal signs. It's really people with planets and points in Aries and Libra at these degrees that are going to be really sensitive to this. People who have the other cardinal signs, Cancer and Capricorn, you will find this eclipse challenging, but it's not going to be the big dramatic endings like it is for Aries and Libras, or people with Aries and Libra planets. Okay, so look, think back to 19 years ago, which is 2004, and see where the eclipse ended something for you. It would have been right around the same time of year and right around the same degrees too. So you can look at your chart and try to figure that out, whatever was happening in 2004. And so if you have the points or planets from 18 to 24 degrees, mainly in Aries and Libra, but also Cancer, Capricorn will have challenges there, you will be super sensitive to this event. And don't miss my bonus eclipse video on this one. You're going to need it. This eclipse also involves Mercury, Mars, Chiron, as well as the sun and the moon. Chiron is a healing energy, but it can also indicate a trauma from the past. So this eclipse might have something to do with ending a pain or trauma from the past. So you might have a profound healing, or you might end a relationship that was stimulating that trauma. I don't know, or recognizing that trauma. I'm not sure. But it's going to connect to whatever happened 19 years ago. Now, the moon and Mars will be trining Saturn, and here's the moon, and here's Mars, and then here's Saturn. So Saturn's at early degrees of Pisces, and the sun, or the moon and Mars. Moon travels quickly. That's why they're including moon with this, but Mars is at very early degrees of Scorpio. So they'll be trining Saturn, which is another factor of time. Saturn rules time. It may be the right time for something to end for you, something that has matured or outlived its usefulness. Saturn speaks of the father, restrictions, construction, constraints, but also focus, crystallization, determination, purpose. So at the same time, Sun, Moon, and Mars all square Pluto right up here. So anything that you're going through is going to be powerful, huge, and meaningful on the deeper levels of your life, not just everyday mundane types of things. And Pluto will require a sacrifice. So this ending may not be all unicorns and rainbows. Saturn also speaks to this. Saturn very often brings about things that can cause depression or that cast a morose, sad pall over the whole event. Now keep in mind that often events set off by an eclipse do not take place on the day of the eclipse, but they do happen swiftly when they happen, just not necessarily on that day. So it could happen 1 week before, 1 month before, 1 week after, 1 month after, or it could happen much later when another planet triggers the event, and that would be planets at around 18 to 25 degrees of cardinal signs. Okay. So I have done a whole video about this new moon eclipse. It should be up on my channel about the same time as this video, so you should be able to take a look at that one as well. All right, moving on to week 3, October 16th through the 22nd. We have nothing from the 16th to the 19th, but on the 20th, we have the Sun conjunct Mercury, and we are having a lot of Cassimi with Mercury during the month of October, which means that Mercury and the Sun are traveling very, very close together. We're very subjective and creative when the Sun and Mercury are close together under Cassimi. We express our ideas eloquently and even artistically. And if you're an artist, this can be a brilliant moment. But if you're not, this could be just too much stimulation for you, and it could cause you to kind of retreat or even just kind of mentally just shut down. But if you can muster expression at this time, it can be very, very good, very artistic and fulfilling. Now, also on the 20th, we have Mercury squaring Pluto. That lasts a couple of days. And the Sun squaring Pluto. They are together. So they are all right around 24, 25 degrees of Libra. And Pluto, of course, is at that 27 degrees of Capricorn, almost 28. So with both Mercury and the Sun squaring Pluto, we have some really powerful energy here. And this is falling right between the new and the full moons, or the solar and lunar eclipses. And I feel like these are going to be a really important couple of days. This is when we'll be hearing from very opinionated, stubborn people expounding on their own hyperbolic theories, which could be dangerous. For example, we could hear claims of a new breakthrough in the Hunter Biden investigation, another claim of impropriety or even criminal activity on the part of one of the judges in Trump's court cases, a horrible revelation about one of Trump's opponents in the presidential race. Just, something that someone can hype and use to scare people or make them really angry. That's going to be the result of both Sun and Mercury squaring Pluto for a couple of days, so buckle up. On October 21st, Venus will be trining Jupiter. Venus will be at 10 degrees Virgo 57. Jupiter will be at 12 degrees Taurus 15 retrograde. So the very next day, we get this beautiful aspect, which if you're sensitive to it, please go buy a lottery ticket. This is harmony, luck, joy, kindness, cordiality, just the opposite of what we had with the squares to Pluto. So there will most likely be some politicians or newscasters apologizing for all the garbage that had been spewed for the days previous. On the 22nd, we have Mercury trining Saturn, Mercury being at 29 degrees Libra 31, Saturn being at 0 degrees Pisces 39 retrograde. Now, this harmonious aspect comes just as Mercury is about to leave Libra. When a planet is in the 29th degree of a sign, it exemplifies the essence of that sign, the most of that sign, which is just perfect. Mercury is in Libra, and Libra is the sign of exaltation for Saturn. Another day of cleanup on the part of thinking, well-spoken individuals. You'll find that messages today are systematic and organized, giving the public a feeling of well-being to counteract all that Pluto nastiness a few days before. And on to week 4, October 23rd through the 29th. This is when we will have the Sun trining Saturn, which will last a couple of days. Hard work and responsibility just don't seem that hard under this aspect. You have great follow-through. Just be careful not to sell yourself short during this aspect, as, you are truly special and worth it. So take these couple of days to tackle something you normally don't do or that you've put off for a while, like organizing the garage. Anyway, something that will benefit those you love. On October 27th, we have Mars opposing Jupiter. That'll last about 3 days. Mars will be at 10 degrees Scorpio, 6 minutes. Jupiter will be at 11 degrees Taurus, 28 minutes retrograde. And people may have extreme reactions to issues in the news. Reckless actions may lead to long-lasting consequences. So the desire to hold on to property, money, power, this can be irresponsible, but irresistible under this aspect. Others may react to this aspect by focusing on idealistic movements in groups, and some may just want to take an exciting vacation. So it looks like everybody's kind of reacting differently to this particular aspect, but just look at your chart and see how it hits you. And then on the 28th of October comes our second eclipse, the full moon lunar eclipse at 5 degrees Taurus, 8 minutes at 8:23 p.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. I love this picture of the partially eclipsed moon. So this full moon lunar eclipse is the last one in the sign of Taurus. We've had a few over the last couple of years, and it's a north node eclipse, so this one will herald a beginning. Eclipses always usher in or out a chapter of our lives, so be ready for this change. Wherever you have points or planets in your chart from 3 to 8 degrees in the fixed signs, you're going to feel this one. Again, look back to 2004 and see which area of life this eclipse will alter. Now, Mars and Jupiter will be involved with this eclipse, so you'll have a tug of war between your impulse to fight and your impulse to rule. Jupiter, with the moon in Taurus, will bring out feelings of comfort. You will enjoy great comfort. But Mars, opposing it, will cause stress, strife, and possibly a fight. The change that comes about from this eclipse will not involve Pluto, thank goodness. So there will not be any big sacrifice. However, you may feel deeply wounded in the aftermath. I don't like the configuration of Mars facing off with Jupiter. The bruising from this event won't cause permanent damage. Venus will see to that, but there may be some bruised egos as well as some noses out of joint afterwards. I'd say after this one, you may need some time to recover. And as you do, you'll begin to see that everything worked out for the best, even if it was a little painful for you. Also, during this eclipse, Mercury will be conjunct Mars right here. And this one, more, not disaster, but this is just a rough one. This is plans of war are afoot. If you're sensitive to this degree, Mercury at 9 degrees, Mars at 10 degrees in the fixed signs, you may find yourself plotting and planning, creating a master design for some very secret plans. You could be planning a renovation of something like your relationship or your retirement, but you will be planning and plotting something. Now, out in the mundane world, we may find that more plots like the J6 event could be underway. Not that they'll be executed, but the plans may be under construction. You may find that the combination of Mercury and Mars in the sign of Scorpio is just irresistible, and that you simply must put pen to paper and make your play or your plan. And I just want to reiterate that even though people are plotting and planning, this does not mean that they will pull it off. This is just the planning stages, and they will surely be found. I mean, that's been my intuition for months and actually over a year. But I just want to reassure everybody that I don't see big violence like that coming. Okay, and the day after the eclipse, October 29th, we have Mercury opposing Jupiter. This is not a great aspect to have right after Mercury conjunct Mars because it makes things even more extreme. Jupiter expands things. So it's going to expand these warlike ideas and communications. And coming just a day after the eclipse, the effects will be most likely felt on the eclipse, meaning this could be a pretty, okay, we won't say it. It's just going to be a powerful eclipse. So thank goodness for the trine between the Sun and Saturn on the eclipse, because that will help the adults prevail with conservative and practical thinking. So again, I really do think that things will be kept under control, but we will have a few individuals who are just determined to plot and plan and scheme, but they will be found out. All right, moving on to the last week, October 30th through November 5th. On October 31st, which some people celebrate as Halloween, Venus will trine Uranus, Venus being at 22 degrees Virgo, 2 minutes, Uranus being at 21 degrees Taurus, 37 minutes retrograde. New friendships or relationships may form under this aspect, or just some really fun social events. You'll find that the change of pace under this one keeps you entertained and laughing. But there will be a comforting aspect to this energy that makes you feel like you can trust the new people in your life. And even if they only stay for a brief while, enjoy their company. You may also feel your own personal attractiveness is boosted at this time. On the 2nd, we have the Sun opposing Jupiter. This will last about 2 days, the Sun being at 9 degrees Scorpio 17, and Jupiter being 10 degrees Taurus 40 minutes retrograde. Some of the anarchists of our society will come out for this one. People with extreme attitudes and beliefs will be spouting them for everybody to hear. They may even get a little rowdy about it. They are committed to their causes and even willing to sacrifice for them. But in the end, this energy is temporary and they will all go back under their rocks. So, during this aspect, though, during actually November 2nd and November 3rd, they may rile up enough people to do some damage. So, watch yourself. On the 3rd, we have Venus opposing Neptune. This is also going to last for just a couple of days. Tremendously romantic and sentimental feelings surrounds this aspect, but tossing the energy between Virgo and Pisces means it's most likely it will not be acted upon, but will just stay in the fantasy realm. Where I'm worried about this one is if it is combined with the Jupiter opposition energy and dredges up people who are willing to sacrifice for their cause. These sentimental feelings may give fuel to their fire and make an impact. So again, this is a couple of days where you do want to be a little cautious. Mercury will oppose Uranus on the same day, on November 3rd. Mercury being at 18 degrees of Scorpio, 50 minutes, Uranus being at 21 degrees Taurus, 30 minutes retrograde. Now, this aspect brings extreme opinions and an impulse for independence. So you see the theme here for the whole month of October is that we have a lot of good aspects, but we also have a lot of activity. And then we have these aspects of extremism, people popping up that are affiliated with extreme groups, extreme ideas, extreme opinions, and they're very vocal or very stubbornly trying to share their opinions. So October is going to be one of those months where we just have a lot of popcorn popping. So, and these people have no ability to compromise, and they have an extreme desire to push the limits because they just want to, and this causes discussions to become very heated. So let's hope that cooler heads prevail. Let's hope that Saturn is able to cool off everything and that the adults are able to keep everybody on an even keel. All right. So that is what I have for October, folks. So I want you to get ready for those eclipses. Be sure to watch my bonus video about the solar eclipse. And of course, this month, the full moon video will address the lunar eclipse. And it never hurts to have one more reminder to look within, ground yourself, and be grateful for all the many blessings you have. Have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next time.